Hello, forestry students. This is your instructor, Sarah Deacon. I wanted to talk to you briefly today about scholarly journals and citations. Not a very exciting subject, I know, but one that's important nonetheless. Your upcoming forum posting as well as your PowerPoint require you to use scholarly journals. And so I wanted to go over the difference between peer-reviewed journals and popular journals. So as you can see with this table, in a peer-reviewed journal, the authors are scholars, and in a popular journal, the authors are journalists. In peer-reviewed, generally you'll see a bibliography at the end of the article and the sources are cited. Another way that you can tell an article is a journal article is that they often have an abstract at the beginning of the article. In popular articles, you generally don't see a reference section, bibliography, or citations. Peer-reviewed journals are primary accounts of findings, whereas popular journals are often secondary discussions of research. So, for example, there might be something published in the Journal of Nature that they talk about in Scientific American, and what they do is they sort of translate a lot of the real scientific, technical speak in Nature into something that the general public can enjoy, which is why the general public reads popular articles where scholars, researchers, and students are the main folks who read peer-reviewed articles. These are not something that you really want to read for fun. They're what you read because it's part of your work or study. So you're going to be required to find a peer-reviewed journal, and once you find it, the first page is going to look like this, and you're going to have to sort of read it and summarize it in some way, and then you have to cite what you've summarized. And citations are the references for your bibliography. Citations come in many different styles, so you can cite in MLA, APA, there are other styles, the Chicago Manual style is one of them. The main ones we're going to be concerned with are MLA and APA because they are what APUS uses. So each style contains the same information. It's authors, titles, date of publication, journal name. The main difference is that they're in different orders. The style of the citation also depends on the source. Is it a book, a journal, a video, that sort of thing? And in the sciences, we generally use APA. That's what I'm used to seeing, and that's what I would like you to use. However, if you are experienced using MLA, you can go ahead and stick with that. There's a lot of available resources for this online. One example is this OWL English at Purdue. They've got a really good database for looking up how to properly cite things. But we'll go over it briefly. So in the citation, at the end of your PowerPoint presentation, at the end of your forum posting, you need to put the full citation. And so the full citation contains the title. So you see the titles in both the APA and the MLA, and it's just in a different order. So in MLA, you have the author and then the title, whereas in APA, you have the authors, you have to list all of them, the year, and the title. The journal name, the journal volume number, and the page numbers are in both, and that information is generally found in the upper left-hand corner of any journal. Some of them put it in the lower right, and some of them even have it on the second page. But for the most part, all the information that you are looking for can be found on the front page of the journal. So you'll see the authors' names, their university affiliations, title, and all the journal information is here. And like I said, with most peer-reviewed journals, the front page starts off with an abstract. In-text citations are a little more complicated, and this is where you're going to want to pay a little more attention. So this is an example of an introduction from that journal article, and just like you have to cite things, so do they, and so it's full of citations. You can see them all over the place in here. And there's many different styles of citation. So the one that you'll probably use the most is if you're just citing one paper. And if you take an idea from the paper and you list it in your forum posting or in your PowerPoint, you need to cite the author and the year of the paper for that idea within the sentence. And it usually goes right at the end if it's just one idea. So for example, in this sentence, it's talking about how sphagnum moss is one of the most abundant plants in peatlands and is the principal species involved in peat accumulation, and that came from Hayward and Climo in 1982. And so you just put it in parentheses at the end of the sentence. Now, If you have a sentence where you have two distinct ideas and they came from two different papers, you list the idea and then you cite it, and then you go on to the second idea and you cite those papers. And in this case, this idea that sphagnum requires a constant supply of water to avoid drying out, there were two papers that found that, and so you can list both of them side by side. However, that idea is different from the fact that sphagnum is a non-vascular plant having no control over its rate of water loss. That came from the Hayward paper. So you can see that there's a couple different styles here. One other way is if the paper has more than two authors, instead of having to list them all out, you can go ahead and just use this et al. And so in this paper, in this sentence, it's from one paper, but the paper must have had a number of authors, and so you can just use the et al. I hope you're not sleeping. I know that sphagnum moss is probably not something, and citations, that really keeps you awake. So when to cite is another question that a lot of people have, and the answer is pretty simple. If you didn't come up with an idea and it's not yours, then you need to cite it. And if you're in doubt about it, then just go ahead and cite it. But the types of things that you're going to be citing are quotations, data, facts, if you're paraphrasing or summarizing. And you guys are going to be probably doing a lot of summarizing and quoting facts. And so whenever you summarize something, you want to go ahead and put it in parentheses. APU and AMU have a strict plagiarism policy. Any instances of plagiarism are to be reported to the registrar and they go on your record. And so this is a good way of protecting yourself, just to make sure that you're not plagiarizing. The other reason that you want to do it is because you want to give credit to the authors. There's a lot of work that goes into publishing these peer-reviewed articles. And in the world of academics, your reputation is built off of how many articles you publish and how many times they're cited. And so this is a good way to give credit where credit is due. So down below here you can see an example of a forum posting, and this is what it should look like when you guys are doing your forum postings. There's some of my text that I have typed. These are mostly my own thoughts, but when I actually get to a fact that deer ate 3 of the 4 tree species that were not in fences, causing high mortality, I cite the paper because that's a fact from that paper that I learned. Then I might have some of my own ideas that I type in there, and then down below I also have a summary of a quotation from the paper where the authors state that over time red spruce will dominate the forest because deer are eating many of the other tree species, and again I cite that. This paper had more than 2 authors, so I used the et al. And it's important to include the year because different papers might have the same author but are published in different years. Then at the end of the forum posting, after you reach your 200 words, you want to make sure and put the full citation at the bottom. So this paper is down here with the title, the journal number, volume, page numbers, that sort of thing. So each of your forum postings should look like this, and this is very important for this week's forum posting because you're required to look for a scholarly article in this week's forum posting. So remember, when you're in doubt, go ahead and cite it. At the end of your syllabus, there's a list of scholarly databases and journals related to forestry. And you can find that list and go through there, and it's a good starting point if you're looking for articles for your upcoming assignments. Another great resource that the university has are the librarians. They're very helpful and they're available to help you, so don't hesitate to contact them if you have any questions. I hope I didn't put you to sleep and that you learned a little bit more about citations. I expect good citations from here on out on forum postings and on your PowerPoint presentation. Thank you.